All right. I'm going to call to order the Common Council meeting on August 9th, 2022 at 7:33. First up is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Alder Allen is absent with excuse. Alder Radafrada.
Here.
Alder Gerhardt.
Here.
Alder Herbst.
Here.
Alder Maldonado is absent with excuse. Mayor Richardson.
Here.
Alder Strassman.
Here.
Alder Udell.
Here.
Alder Wheeler.
Here.
You do have a quorum, Mayor.
All right, great, thank you. Next up is public appearances, non-agenda items, new appointments. I do not have anything for today, so we can keep moving. Madison had a 20-minute meeting last week, so I want to try and beat that. All right, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? So moved by Dave.
Second.
Seconded by Randy. Anything people want to remove and do separately in the consent agenda? Seeing nothing, all in favor of approving consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Then next up is Administrator's Report. Chad.
Good evening, everyone. I'll try to keep my comments brief to help you meet your goal. A few events that I'd like to share with Council. Concerts at McKee, August 15th. Agora Art Fair is August 20th. And the next Fitchburg After Hours event organized by the Chamber of Commerce is August 25th at Me and Julio's, and that's sponsored by One Community Bank. Our new community planner, Brad Sipple, will begin next Monday, August 15th. He comes to us by way of the Wisconsin Department of Transportation in the city of Wausau. As Misty updated the Finance Committee, I'll share a few updates there. We are definitely in the dog days of operating budget development. We'll be meeting with staff next week to learn about their proposals and any adjustments to the budget that they'll be requesting. Our net new construction number was posted late last week. Net new construction came in right at projections of 4.1%. I will add that we are quite fortunate to have that level of net new construction. It's higher than most communities here in Dane County, and when you start looking outside Dane County, we're familiar with many communities that are coming in at less than 1% in net new construction. So we consider ourselves grateful here. The Joint Review Board is meeting tomorrow to discuss TID 14, which is the Hartung development. And there will also be the annual meeting on all of the TIDs throughout the city. You should look for some additional information on that from Misty being shared with the Finance Committee next month. And then finally, I want to thank Tracy Oldenburg, our clerk, and her team, as well as our IT and building maintenance staffs and any of our poll and election workers today for their work on the primaries. So I know that that's still going on, I think for about 24 minutes, but I wanted to thank you and recognize you guys for your work today.
All right, any questions for Chad at all? Seeing none, we can go to Plan Commission. Randy?
All right. I motion to approve excuse me. Motion to postpone Ordinance 2022-0-22 and Plan Commission Resolution PCR-02-22.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sent by Dave. And did Plan Commission do?
Plan Commission disapproved and recommends to Council that Ordinance 2022-0-22 be denied, and it will return to Council on September 13th, and that's because of state statutes and the 30-day wait.
Yeah, for both this one and the next one, there's supposed to be a 30-day period before we take action. The second one we're going to postpone as well. The second one it actually is under 30 days. However, the planning department had noticed people that the 13th would be when we take action. And so since we noticed that, we don't want to take action today. We want to make sure that we actually are approving this when we told residents that we were going to approve it.
So,
Yeah. Julia?
So we are denying this, in Plan Commission was denied because we didn't, we were under the 30 days.
No, that's not why. No.
Why were denying?
We'll talk about that more probably on the 13th, but it's essentially concerned with what it was proposed to change to, and we'll get into discussion about it on the 13th. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there's a long discussion about that.
so I'll move to postpone to September
It's already
13th.
moved.
Oh,
That was the motion.
It is.
That Randy did.
sorry.
We're just doing it for transparency purposes. Yeah.
Any other questions on postponing? All right. All in favor of postponing, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay? All right, that's postponed. Next one, Randy.
Same thing, motion to postpone. I'll make sure I have the correct. Resolution R-150-22. I'm sorry, I really
Second.
jumped down. I apologize. I get my cursor here. Motion to postpone ordinance 2022-0-23 and Plan Commission Resolution PCR-03-22.
Second.
Sent by Gabriella. And same thing. We had noticed it as the 13th, and so we want to actually take action on the 13th, like we told residents we were going to. All right. I don't think there's probably any other discussion. So all in favor of postponing, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, nay? That is also postponed. Before we do Public Works, I'm going to try and get through some of these things that people are actually here for. If we could move up, let's see here. It is 9A, 2, and 3. That would be great.
So
They're under
moved.
Business. Moved by Gabriella. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jim. All in favor of moving 7A, 2, and 3 up to right now, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. All right. Then we'll go next to 7A2. If you want to come up, Jonathan, Brian, whoever's going to speak. Unless you want to wait.
I very much appreciate it.
Oh, okay. 7A or 9A, 2 and 3. It's the Hartung property. And so I believe, Randy, if you want to do a motion,
Motion to move these two is what you're saying?
move to approve it. Yep.
All right.
That's what we did in plan, right?
Yes, motion to approve. Resolution R-160-22, formerly PP-2462-22.
Second that motion.
Sent by Dave. Did plan approve?
Plan did approve.
Did Park approve? Did Tree Advisory approve? All right. And do you want them to present, or do you want to say anything, Randy, before?
No, I think I will let them present since they are here.
All right.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Thank you very much. Again, Brian Munson with Vanderwall and Associates. Glad to be back on the next step, step 2 of 3, on the implementation of the Hartung Fields project. On the screen and in the packet in the submittal, you see a map that should look very familiar because it is built entirely out of the comprehensive development plan that this body and many of the committees approved earlier this year. And that was by intent. We really appreciated the feedback we got, the close working relationship we've got with the city staff and all of the committees. And so this next step really is adding a little bit more detail to the zoning components and preparing the preliminary plat and working with engineering and all of the staff to do the detail work that allows us to move forward to a final plat submittal and SIP submittal next, and really get into the details of how we're going to build the project. So the plan submittal is identical from a land use standpoint. Again, just has some more details that become the framework that will evaluate SIPs around. So really glad to be back tonight on the next step, and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions at all? Seen this a number of times. All right, seeing none, then let's go to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. All right, that one's approved. And then Randy, you want to do number 3?
Number 3, yes. Motion to approve ordinance 2022-0-24, formerly RZ-2461-22.
Sent by Julia. Anything you want to add? Same project.
Same project.
All right, the Plan Commission approve? Randy?
Plan Commission approved.
All right. Any questions that you thought of in the last 30 seconds? No? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. All right.
All
That
right.
is approved.
Well, thank you very much. We'll be back soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We got to call some other people here. Let's find other things that people are here for. How about we do the. How about the. Yeah, let's do Public Works number 8 next, if someone would like
So
to
moved.
move that. Gabriella moves that up. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Randy. All in favor of doing Public Works number 8 next, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. All right, that is approved, and looks like this is maybe a Public Works item. Dave, do you want to make a motion on this?
Resolution R 15822, authorizing a Fitchburg Greenway System pilot project.
Second.
Seconded by Gabriella. Did Public Works approve?
Public Works did not approve.
They did not. Do we know if Bike Committee did?
Bike Committee approved.
They approved, all right. Did Parks Commission approve? Did Finance approve?
Finance approved.
Did Tree Advisory? I know they haven't met, so that is going to Tree Advisory. All right. And then. Oh. Okay. We'll go back to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we should have done this one first. All right. Dave, do you want to speak to this first?
Okay. So it failed on a 2-2 vote. The gist was, we're in favor of the pilot project, which private funds would be used to get the signs, and we would use our streets. What we were opposed to is we feel like private funds should be used to come up with the rest of the signs. We did not want to approve a pilot that we knew was going to cost us a lot more money. We would prefer that private funds be used to pay for the signs. We would be all in favor of the Parks Department or streets, putting them up, but we feel this is not a priority, and if we could have an assurance that private funds could be procured to pay for the signs, we would be in favor of it.
All right. We do have Steve Arnold here to speak in favor of this. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I think it would be fair to say that Public Works made no recommendation. Two supported the project and two were against it. So I think that Dave clearly characterized the opinions of 2 of the 4 members that were present.
I would add that it did not pass.
You can't interrupt during
Did not
public
pass.
comment.
It was 2-2. It did
Dave,
not pass.
you're out of order. Sorry.
So, again, we feel that the city has a massive investment in building its own paths and accepting dedication from land developers of our path system, and that the small amount that would take to identify and provide wayfinding signage and promote our world-class system. Very few cities in Wisconsin have anything close to what we have, and we should be touting it from the rooftops. And the cost of this is so small compared to what we already put in even maintenance every year, mowing and controlling snow and ice. And from time to time replacing paths that have worn out. This is just a really great investment for the city. We would like to see city resources invested in this long term, unlike some of the Public Works Board members. But this is not about that. This is about putting up signs at 2 intersections so that members of the public and elected officials can judge for themselves whether it adds value. And I would urge a vote in favor. And I'm certainly here to answer any questions you have about the implementation of the demonstration intersection and, of course, the whole system. But we're not voting on the whole system tonight.
All right. Shannon, go ahead.
I was just wondering, what is the cost?
Yeah,
It's a small amount, but
So, yeah, so for the purpose of this demonstration project, it would literally just be staff time to discuss with Steve where the signs would be placed and then to go ahead and install those signs. We have talked to staff. I'm estimating, maybe 4 hours worth of time in total, but we don't have a firm number on that. And then the signs are being funded through a grant that Bike Fitchburg has gotten. So the signs are at no cost to the city. They'll take care of ordering the signs and so forth. And I'll turn it back to you in just 1 second, Steve. But for the entire council, you'll note in the referral and the resolution that this does not, approval of this demonstration intersection does not commit the Common Council to approve any additional steps to designate a Fitchburg Greenway system, and that you may, in the future, order signage hereby approved to be removed if you so desire. So this truly is a demonstration project that the city is willing to partner with Bike Fitchburg on to take a look at what a greenway system identification signage would look like, and we crafted this intentionally so that the council didn't have to feel like they were bound to something else in the future. And I do believe Steve and Bike Fitchburg are going to be presenting on an overall greenway concept at some point, either later this year or later.
We would love to visit you at the Committee of the Whole to give you a presentation on the whole thing. Shannon, to elaborate, we have a $1,000 grant from ARP Wisconsin. They are interested, of course, in improving livability for seniors, but also for all ages. And that's why we picked the Traceway intersection, because it would directly serve the Highline Senior Apartments and also one of our Healthy Neighborhood Initiative areas. We expect to be able to do the Traceway intersection and the Post Road intersection, and that we will be purchasing posts and brackets and all the necessary hardware, not just the signs. And also clarify that the photos you've seen in the packet and the project itself will follow the Dane County Bicycle Wayfinding Manual. That is something that Fitchburg had a key role in back when it was developed by Tool Design. Anna Bijak was on the advisory committee. And if you've been through the Velo Underround, our bicycle roundabout, you see other examples of that kind of signage.
Other questions or comments from the council? And also, just for the public knows, Jay Allen is now on as well. So, hi, Jay. All right. I don't see any other questions or comments, so we can go to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
And anyone opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right. I believe the ayes have it. So that
Thank you very
passes.
much.
Yep, thank you. Yeah, we better just do 7 real quick. If someone can move
So moved.
to that. Thank you, Gabriella. Is there a second?
Second.
Sent by Randy. And Dave, do you want to do a motion to rescind the referral?
Which one are we on?
Right above that, it was to rescind the referral to the Tree Advisory Committee. I should have done that one first. I didn't realize that one was there because these are related. Since
Okay.
Tree Advisory Committee didn't meet.
So I'll move approval to rescind referral R 15822 to the Tree Advisory Committee.
Second.
Sent by Gabriella, and this was just because Tree Advisory didn't meet. We still wanted to take action on this, and so that's why we're rescinding that referral.
Okay.
Tree Advisory is still going to get the information, and they're going to go and they're going to get all that and be able to get that. So still going to have them involved. Any questions at all? All right. Seeing none, all in favor of rescinding the referral to the Tree Advisory Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay? All right, that one passes. And so next, going through things that people are actually here for first, why don't we do the Park Commission resolution next, if someone would like to move to do that one next on the agenda?
Move R 14822 next in the agenda.
Seconded by Julia. All right. And so, did Park Commission approve?
Do we have to vote on the move?
Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. That was just to do the agenda, sorry. Yes, could you please do a motion for me, Julia?
I move approval of resolution R-148-22, amending the 2022 park feed
Did we vote
budget.
on it, actually?
No, I don't think we voted.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
What?
So someone
We
was
didn't vote on
whispering to
the-
me,
the
so I
change.
got thrown off here.
Okay.
First, all in favor of moving the resolution to now on the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. All right, now we move. Now, Julia, if you
Okay.
could move.
So here we go again. So I move approval of resolution R-148-22, amending the 2022 park feed budget drinking fountain at Dog Park.
Second.
Sent by Jim. Did Park Commission approve?
Yes, we approve.
Did Finance approve?
Finance approved.
All right, and this is, again, needs 2/3, just like it did last time it was here, and which for 7 people means 6 out of 7 have to approve this. Do you want to speak to this, Julia?
I think Scott is here.
Scott? All right, Scott, would you like to speak to this first, and then we'll have a
Yeah.
citizen comment after that?
That sounds, thank you, Mayor. This is a re-referral of the drinking fountain project at Sunnyside Park. I will share with the council that with the potential of public bidding and those kinds of things, there is a clause within the resolution that indicates that the Fitchburg Dog Park advocates are willing to contribute to the project if it's completed in 2022. That may be a battle for us. I am speaking with the Fitchburg Dog Park advocates, and I see Diane is there. Hopefully, she might be able to share some thoughts with the council. But certainly, if we do get it approved tonight, we'll begin work immediately to try and get the project completed. But I will tell you that the likelihood it is going to be a push in order to get it done in 2022. So hopefully the Fitchburg Dog Park advocates will be all right with the ability of waiting until 2023 to get the project completed. And then I might add too that before we begin the project, we definitely need to secure the funds from the Fitchburg Dog Park advocates, so we have them in hand before we begin the project.
All right, we've got one citizen here to speak to this. Diane, go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for reconsidering this item, for taking the time to reconsider it. I won't repeat what I said when I was here last month. I just want to point out that a water fountain was in the original plan for the dog park, which the council approved in 2016. A drinking fountain is one of the most requested amenities for the dog park. It benefits not only the dogs, but the people there and also the trees. We have no source for water, convenient source for water for the trees that we've planted, and we've already lost several. We planted another tree this spring, and Jake Johnson and I have been hand carrying in water to keep that tree alive. With the heat that we've had, the water benefits, like I said, people and dogs, from heat exhaustion, heat stroke. I mean, they need a source of water immediately if they're suffering from either of those, both people and dogs. As Scott mentioned, Fitchburg Dog Park advocates have offered to pay up to $10,500 to get this water fountain, this drinking fountain installed. We've already paid for the well testing, which is included in the $10,500. I just encourage you to vote to get this done. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Questions, comments, Gabriella?
Just wanted to, so I abstained last time, and it was mostly because I felt like I didn't have enough information. And after that vote, I talked with Jake Johnson, and he told me about the history of the project, which him and Diana shared at the previous council meeting. But it was very clear to me that this has been a long time coming. It wasn't like it sounded like a brand new thing. It was not. It was part of the plan early on. There was a lot of legwork that went up to it. There was that testing that had been done and paid for previous that I wasn't aware of at the time. So I was happy I sponsored this to bring it back, and I'm definitely going to vote yes, and I'm excited to hopefully see it put in this year, and if not, early next year.
Thank you.
Dave, go ahead.
What are we asking the taxpayers to pay?
Chad, you have that up and handy. 30.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here.
I think.
Estimated cost is right around $30,000. A total budget is anticipated at $40,000. That does include a contingency in case of bids coming in over the estimate. So out of pocket cost to the city would be about $30,000, and the intent is to use park fees, park impact fees to pay for this, not levy money.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave. Keep going.
You know, I wasn't on council in 2016, but I believe the plan was, it would be a hand pump, which I wouldn't have been opposed to. That's a lot of money, that we have many other needs. You can bring a jug of water with you. I have dogs. I take them many places that don't have fountains. In the dog park, the dog is running around typically, not the person. It's not hard to have a fanny pack with a water bottle. You're not there for hours at a time. I just feel we could make better use of $30,000 or find a less expensive option. Thank you.
Julia, go ahead.
Davey, I disagree totally with you because I think with the hot temperature that we are getting right now, and there is no access to water to that dog park, we need to do something. And this is what our taxpayer, and being a taxpayer, I would like to use my funds to provide these services to a park that all the community use. And this is a dog park. Not only dogs enjoy this park, but also the owner of the dogs enjoy the park. And then we don't have any sort of water there. I think we need to do it. It's the right thing to do. $30,000 that we need to put for our, coming from our taxpayer money is nothing compared to liability that we can have if we don't have water there.
Gabriella.
Just to clarify, it is park impact fees, it's developer money, right? It's from developers and then the other donation from the park advocates. So it's not taxpayer money.
Right.
It's citizen money and volunteer citizen money and developer money from park impact fees.
Shannon.
So was this already allocated for this park prior, the money from the parks?
Put in the budget, but we had to approve it, and we didn't approve. It failed, a few weeks ago or so.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that we have to spend it, but it was in the budget, I believe, for this year. Jim.
I'm glad this came back because go to the dog park. I take my dogs there. There's communal bowls there, and the dogs just, they're going to see water. They're going to go for it. And there's parasites and bacteria that can be passed from dog to dog when you have communal bowls. So just to have fresh water, people can bring a container, whatever, I think is very important. I have 2 dogs. And, they're very important. They're part of the family, and I wouldn't want anything to happen to them. In fact, I know people who have spent thousands of dollars taking care of their dogs when they get sick. So, I think dogs are very important to people. You have emotional support dogs that are out there, and I think to make it as safe as possible, I think this is very well needed.
All right. Anyone else? Seeing none. Tracy, because we need 6 out of 7 to say yes, I'm going to ask for a roll call just because it sounds like there might be at least one no, and I want to make sure that we know for sure instead of having to do this. So if you wouldn't mind doing a roll call, please.
Of course. Alder Allen?
Oh, we couldn't hear you, Jay.
You're muted.
Or even a thumbs up would be good. Thumbs up. I see a thumbs up.
Aye.
I'm going to take that as a yes.
Alder Radafrada?
Yes.
Alder Gerhart?
Aye.
Alder Herbst?
Nay.
Alder Maldonado is absent. Alder Strassman?
Yes.
Alder Udell?
Yes.
Alder Wheeler?
Aye.
And we have 6-1.
All right. That passes then. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So now that that's done, next, if we could actually move finance 1, A, and B, and also new business number 1. All 4 of those or 3 of those, I should say, have staff who are either here in person or online for.
So moved.
All right. Moved by Gabriella. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Randy. All in favor of moving those up in the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right, so now Finance Committee, resolution, if you want to start that one, Randy, the first resolution. We're keeping you on your toes by jumping around.
Yeah, you certainly are. Motion to approve Resolution R-150-22, approving an agreement with E-Plan Exam for commercial plan review.
Second.
Seconded by Jay. Did Finance approve?
Finance approved.
And we've got John here to speak to this. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, DA Maddox is the actual representative from E-Plan. So really what we're doing, and DA, jump in here if you want to at any point. So we are a delegated municipality. I feel like I'm telling everybody this again. So we can do new buildings up to 5,000 square feet, remodels of existing structures up to 10,000. By signing a contract with E-Plan, we're going to be unlimited. We're also going to be able to roll into that. We're going to be able to do all the plumbing plan approvals, all the HVAC, and this is for commercial. I know we had Dave had a question on a single-family house. That's a whole different code. This is all commercial structures. So we'll be able to do unlimited plumbing, unlimited HVAC, unlimited commercial buildings, the whole works. We're a one-man shop now, and the biggest reason that we've been pushing for this, I've been working on this for 3 years, and I finally found E-Plan that I really, really wanted to work with. The state of Wisconsin is probably 15, maybe 20-some weeks out for plan approval. DA said he's going to do them in 5 days. Kidding. He said 15 business days is what he said, which is a substantial turnaround from what we have. And DA, do you want to jump in there quick a little bit and just kind of give that 101? But it's a win-win for us.
Yeah. So this is the way that we built our company is truly we try to be that rare unicorn. We were founded in Wisconsin. Our company is wholly owned and operated in the state of Wisconsin. The business model is simple. Most communities in the state of Wisconsin, we have 1,800 communities in the state of Wisconsin. Most communities cannot do what we do today in the village of Lake Delton, Onalaska, Waukesha, where if someone drops off a commercial building, as long as it's not a hospital, we can do it regardless of size. There are only 25 communities in the state of Wisconsin that can do unlimited sized commercial structures. Our intent is to make the city of Fitchburg number 26. If you do this, if someone were to bring in a new apartment building, a high rise, maybe do a new football stadium for the high school, what this would do is basically bring in a net new revenue that we would share with the community. We would be contractually bound to 15 business days guaranteed turnaround time. And on top of that, we provide free unlimited code consult support to John and his team, as well as the community as a whole when it comes to commercial development. So if they have any code questions, we're here to help out. And if for any reason, either the city doesn't like our services or wants to send it back to the state to go the way things have been, there's always that ability to do that. Likewise, the applicants have that ability to do that too. But this is a net new revenue. It's a new service. Quite honestly, the communities that have this capacity are not all the ones that you would think. City, Village of Pewaukee both have the ability to do plans of all trades, unlimited sizes. The city of Green Bay does not. The city of Kenosha does not. The city of Racine does not. You would have more powers to your building inspection departments and more freedom of choice than any of those other communities. That's the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do while providing full transparency to the community as a whole.
The service to the developers, owners, all those folks throughout the years. It's just been a difficult choice. The boomers are retiring, Act 10 hit. It just was like a perfect storm. And now with COVID, nobody's getting into the state of Wisconsin. This is kind of a format that the state of Wisconsin is trying to push off more local control. And as I say, DA's company is formed perfect for that. And I say, I've been looking at Epic in Verona has been doing this from day one. They hired out a consultant. They do their own plan review through the city of Verona. I didn't like the way they were doing this. I've known DA probably for 5 years or more now. I like his program, and he's doing large communities already right around the area. So, and what he's saying is a revenue for us. All the fees that are collected, they keep 90% of it. 10% comes back to us. Out of their 90%, the state of Wisconsin still wants their tip. So they still pay that out of their 90%. They will pay the state of Wisconsin fees. They handle all the administration fees. Their crew has done an excellent job. Probably when the ink gets dried on the contract, they'll send our ordinances to the state of Wisconsin, get them all approved for us. They are doing all the legwork for the delegation that our staff doesn't have time to do. So it's a win-win for everybody with the city. It's a very reputable company. I wouldn't be asking, as I said, I've been here 30-some years, I wouldn't be asking for it if I didn't think it was a wonderful situation for the city.
Julia, questions?
Yes, I have a question. So they bill the developer?
So, yes.
I want to follow the money.
So basically, so did Misty. This was her first question, too. You must be her best friend. So what happens is we're going to do it a little different. All the plans are going to come in through us.
Okay.
We're going to send them the plans that they can do. We're going to send to them. And then they'll be in contact through their application, the developers, the designers' application. They figure the fees out. They won't release the plans until those fees are paid, and then they kick them back to us. So they collect all the fees. And DA, if I'm correct, at the end of the month, you settle up with us then?
Yes, exactly right. So John and his team will forward us over to the plans. And the way that we operate in all of our communities, because quite simply, it just works faster this way. And it's a testament to how quickly we can work while still being very efficient with the code and proper applications of all that. If we get a project that gets submitted and dropped off on the last day of the month, chances are we won't have time to crack it open and verify the fees. But we will on the following day, but that's the day that we run the bill. Chances are we have not gotten paid yet. We will cut the check for the portion that is owed to the city of Fitchburg on the first of the month, regardless if we've been paid or not. So that money that normally would have been cut to the state of Wisconsin, the end goal is simply changing the name on the check to say E-Plan Exam, and then we settle up immediately with the city of Fitchburg on a monthly basis. So that way it's our responsibility to go chase down the money. If for any reason someone abandons the project, doesn't pay, at that point in time, we would have a conversation with the city. But those conversations, out of the 3.5 years we've been in business, we've only had that once. And it was for a very, very unique situation.
So I want to understand that we are doing this because you don't have capacity, or we don't know how to do those?
We are not allowed under state statute. Okay. They are I want to say, I feel like I'm not important, but I got my college degree is in construction management. I'm not an engineer. Okay. I went to the business side, design side. These guys are PEs, registered engineers and architect. That's what state statute says. And you also, to do plan review, you have to be a master plumber or designer. So they carry the extra licenses that the city of Fitchburg doesn't have. We do a limited amount of delegation now with what I have, but they just take it to the next level.
I'd say the biggest difference is right now these go to the state, and instead they go to this company.
I get it.
And the state is taking 3 or 4 months, whereas this is going to be 15 days. And
you're talking a lot faster. At the most, 3 weeks compared to 3 months, which is substantial because, as I explained in the first meeting with finance, once Plan Commission approves, typically the buildings, that's when they get designed. And that's when the rubber hits the road and we got to go. Well, if the state's taken 3 to 4 months to review, well, that pushes them from the building season when the frost is just coming on the ground to August. They're trying to get the foundation in covered before, you know what I mean? That whole time is so valuable for developers. And we're talking, 10 to 12 projects a year, if that in a good year, maybe more, in a busy year, but you're talking all the Promegas, you're talking all these multifamilies, you're talking everything, the sub-zeros, everything that comes along with that. And we got a ton of stuff. I mean, we just had a developer at Hartung that we got a ton of stuff right there that alone would pay for it. So it's no out-of-pocket money for the city of Fitchburg ever. It is, we get kicked back. We're the state of Wisconsin. We get no money now.
Yeah, and on top of that too, it might be only 12 projects, but each one of those projects has 5 trades associated with it. Typically, fire alarm, fire sprinkler, plumbing, all of those elements would have to get reviewed.
Okay.
So if you take a look at a brand new apartment building that might generate $25,000 in plan review fees that they would have already been paying to the state, today you're seeing none of that at all.
So we get 10%. We get 10% of that $25,000.
Exactly. So one apartment building could potentially.
Yeah. And we just did Ocala. Ocala was 350,000 square feet.
All right, I've got Dave next, and then Randy. Go ahead, Dave.
John, I'm sorry I didn't ask you this at public safety. What's the effect on your department for resources? Will it take more, not the same, or less?
Well, I'm going to come back at budget time. I've been begging to reinstate my position for 5 years now. But I seem to be low man on the totem pole. But it's going to be a little more upfront because the way we negotiate our contract, we're taking the plans here and then sending them off to the DA to do the plan review. We'll be able to absorb it. But sometime in the future then, so what we would do then in my next hire, after I get my inspector reinstated, I'd have they call them plan techs. Basically, they handle all the paperwork. They would handle all this stuff coming in. They'd handle all the approval letters. So that tech person would do that. So that'd probably be the next hire that the department would have to see in the next, 2 to 3 years. But We'll do it. It'll come through me probably most of the stuff because I'll make the decision if it goes or stays. So it is what it is. But this is just such an advantage to the owners and the developers for the city. We just can't pass this up.
All right, Rainey, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, John. I have seen you twice, right? Today. So this is the second time. No. Thank you. This is a win-win, and as an engineer in finance by profession. I don't know anything to expedite, especially when you're dealing with multi-million-dollar projects. The developers must be very happy, and your group as well. And you're right about there probably will be some upfront for you to process and move things forward. But with that fee schedule or fee of 90-10, that ratio, since we're removing all of that work from the state for the most part,
correct? How
would one change that as a state statute, or maybe?
Yep, I can speak to that.
Yeah.
So essentially the fee schedule that you're going to be moving to adopt is heavily referenced and based upon the state of Wisconsin fee schedule. Our business model when we first established ourselves was if we're going to go toe-to-toe with the state and seek their blessing and approval to do this, which in essence we are, we're going to charge dollar for dollar what they're charging. I have to say now 3 years in, myself and John Cunningham and others with E-Planning Exam, we've had nothing but the best relationship with the state of Wisconsin. But the reality is when you start looking at their fees, you can choose to charge whatever you want. I can make the state's fee schedule work and the fee schedule that you're looking at on a 90-10 split. As I told John, if you wanted to charge $1, you could. I cannot make that work on a 90-10 split. If you want to charge $10,000, I could obviously modify the split and we can move from there. But I recommend, because the program of delegation is a program of choice, both from the municipal side and the architect side, that you keep a very close parallel to what the state's fee schedule is. And that's the fee schedule that's outlined in front of you.
Yeah, no, I fully understand that. But and thank you for that explanation. But what about if the state is not involved in this process at all? And I mean, they're obviously somewhere giving up that authority, or because of lack of resources, probably. But they're still collecting 90%. How would we, as a municipality, collect 100%?
No, so the 100%. What we charge is going to essentially E-Plan in this instance, and then E-Plan keeps 90, and then they give us 10%.
So it's E-Plan that's keeping the 90%.
Yeah.
So the state is out of the equation.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Well, they get a tip. They get a little piece. They get a little.
They get a little piece of that 90%, and I don't know what percentage that
Okay,
is
then
DA.
that's.
I have cut far too much, tens of thousands of dollars to the state of Wisconsin, and we call it unofficially the tax for the privilege of doing their work. It's about 10%.
Okay.
Sometimes up, sometimes down. I have to just joke it at this point. It just
It's really, E-Plan keeps 90%. That's
That's fully
what their payment
understandable
is.
then. Yeah.
And that's why jokingly I said that's the state's tip is what they shell out of their 90%.
Okay, no, the other question I have then is, I'm assuming the state is requiring some type of, I'll say licensing for you to I mean, it must be regulated in some way for you to do this type of
So the old mantra is, and this dates back to if you're in building construction, you know about this, the 50,000 cubic foot threshold, right? In order for you to do a design or a building, you have to have an architect or engineer stamp a building plan when it's over 50,000 cubic foot in volume. In the old days, when this program was first incepted, it was the idea that only an architect or engineer's department could basically hold another architect or engineer to account for their design or their failures in their design. So in the state statutes, the only way that you can get above the threshold that you're at today for Fitchburg is to retain the services of an architect or engineer to oversee plan review functions and operations. But you marry that with the field-based operations that John has, obviously. We do not do inspections. We just do plan review. John does the inspections. This is why we offer free and limited code consults. But in order to get the plan review program off the ground, the two programs have to essentially marry each other. That's the reason why there are so few communities in the state that have this authority, because very few communities can afford on their own right to have an architect or engineer oversee plan review operations for a community. This is where we would come into play.
question. Thank you very much.
And that's why we became a delegated municipality probably as soon as I possibly could, as soon as the statute, the law allowed it, we became a delegated municipality because I didn't want to send the money to the state and I wanted to keep it in-house. I could do, a small build out of a commercial space for Wingstop. I could do that in a half a day where it would take them 3 weeks to send it to the state and get it back. That's why we did that years ago. This brings it to another level that I've been looking for the last 5 years. So I think it's a great company, and we got a contract. And if the architect or engineer doesn't like DA's quality or this or that, they got a personal issue, they can still send it to the state if they want to. We still will allow state approval plans coming to us, but it's the time saving. As everybody knows, time is money, especially in the construction industry. It's huge.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else, Julia?
So how do the developers take this new option? You know what I mean?
I know Chad and Mike asked someone that was in recently, and they said that that'd be awesome. Okay. They were actually very enthusiastic.
Yeah, so basically everybody you talked to said that's even in our developer meetings on Tuesdays, they're like, hey, give us a month here. That might have been a few months ago, Chad, but give us a month. We're going to have this, and they said that's a great option. Thank you. So they really want it. Why not deal locally with me at the front counter of the desk? And this is what we need instead of over the phone with somebody that doesn't really. The process is so much simpler right now. We'll simplify it. User friendly, as I like to say.
Yeah, John has mentioned many times that the developers and applicants prefer a system that will minimize the time of plan review. And we have been talking about this for at least a few months and reviewing the contract language to try to get things all squared away. And it has come up in numerous conversations with projects and developers. And I haven't heard anybody express any reservations about moving to this. And in fact, most of them clap their hands or otherwise say thank you.
All right. Ready to vote? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay? All right, that's approved. Actually, if we can just skip, I'm going to do B in a second here because the fee schedule, which we did move up, is related to this. So let's see, it's finance. So Randy, if you don't mind doing the direct referral number 1, which is the fee schedule for this project, please.
Sure. Motion to approve Resolution R-168-22, amending the 2022 building inspection fee schedule for commercial plan review.
Second.
Sent by Gabriella. Did finance approve?
Finance approved.
Did public safety approve?
Public safety approved.
And we're at the council. All right. And go ahead.
So this is really exactly what DA said. We are going to mirror the state of Wisconsin pretty close. Some of the fees are slightly higher. I think it's in the plumbing approval section.
Yeah.
We can't do a plumbing approval right now. We do not have a master plumber or journeyman plumber on staff, so we can't do the plans at all. So we had to roll that fee schedule into our fee schedule. So that was the big one. And otherwise, they're just subtle changes, DA, not a whole lot, right?
Yeah, they're really, really subtle. They're very, very close to mirroring what the state of Wisconsin has. If anything, we've tried to make it more simplified because the state of Wisconsin, in traditional state fashion, has references all over the statutes. So we try to consolidate it all in one spot to make it user-friendly.
It reads pretty straightforward, exactly like my building inspection fee schedule. So it's pretty straightforward. People will be able to understand that.
Questions, comments on the fee schedule part? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay? All right. That is also approved.
Thank you, everybody. DA, thank you.
Oh,
We'll be in touch.
Thank you, John.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. I appreciate that. It's long, lot of
you.
work.
Thanks, John.
All right. Randy, if you can do the other finance committee one now, that'd be great.
Sure. Motion to approve Resolution R-159-22, approval of the OpenGov Citizen Service Platform.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sent by Dave. Did finance approve?
Finance approved.
And do you want to just let Matt take this one, or Chad, or do you want to say?
Well, I spoke to Chad earlier. He did a
Yeah,
great job at finance. So.
I can certainly take it, and I should really be asking Scott to just play the video from finance would probably be the best way to go about this. But what I will say is I'll just provide some background on this. I'll try to keep my comments brief, and by all means, if anybody wants to answer or ask any questions, we'll be happy to answer that. But we've been taking a look at a few processes within the city, and we believe that there are a notably significant potential to improve the internal efficiencies of a number of processes within the city, as well as the ability to improve our service and interaction with users of city services through a variety of different processes, of which I can give you some examples moving forward. But, one of them would be the building permit process. When we look at the fact that we know that we can improve efficiencies and also our interaction and the service that's provided to our constituents and users of city services, we started to look at software applications that could help us achieve that goal. We looked at many of the options that are currently available to help us out with this sort of implementation. And through that evaluation process, OpenGov became the clear choice as the application with the best potential to help us meet the goals that I've identified to the council here. Some of the factors that led to OpenGov being the clear choice is the fact that we believe OpenGov's application will allow us to cover a high percentage of the processes that we've already identified that could benefit from the software. It has a high level of flexibility within the system, and that flexibility also contributes to a situation in which we feel that our own staff will ultimately be able to do the behind-the-scenes work with the software application to add even more processes to the application. One of the things we did a couple of weeks ago is we had a demonstration of the software for all of our department heads to take a look at it and see what sorts of features it has available and how it could potentially benefit their particular departments. Of course, there are certain departments that will benefit from the software just through the very nature of their work and their role than others. Some significant users of the software are anticipated to be our building inspection, planning and zoning, clerk's office, but we have also identified a number of other departments that are likely to be able to utilize the software. I asked the department heads to provide any feedback after that demonstration, be it good, bad, indifferent. Those department heads who have provided feedback to me have provided overwhelmingly positive feedback after seeing what the system is capable of. And if council is willing to approve this request tonight, The cost of the software, the initial implementation includes assistance from OpenGov in creating and implementing 8 processes that could be utilizing the software. We would intend to start with our building permits, and some other examples of what we will likely begin in that initial grouping of 8 would include pet licenses, special assessment letters, commercial plan review submissions, open records requests, and licensing and permits, most notably alcohol licensing that's there. The system has a lot of efficiencies about it. Again, as I mentioned, staff can ultimately create some of the forms and processes behind the scenes, but it's going to help us identify where things are at in any given process that's in the system. Right now, it may take a little bit of walking around City Hall, making phone calls and sending emails to determine what its particular step or who might be responsible for a particular project. The system will track that. It'll can be configured to send notifications to a variety of different individuals at any step in which a process is. There is certainly an enhanced ability to interact with our community. Somebody would not have to come into City Hall to pay for their pet license, for instance. The city clerk would not have to be as involved in the alcohol license process. A lot of that could be automated through the software. There are other components to the software that could be added over time. One is a planning and budgeting feature that we find could be extremely beneficial to the city. And there's also another module that we would want to take a look at, and that's their finance module as well, as we know that the city has plans to replace its finance software. There are other modules within the system. Together, they do combine to create a nice transparency piece that I know a lot of folks here on the dais as well as in our community are interested in. I did need to clarify from finance, we do get some of the transparency piece with the module that we are selecting, but obviously the more that we move through the system, the more we can run through the transparency piece. If anyone is interested in what the system is ultimately capable of as you add more processes and more applications to it, West Allis, Wisconsin has been a pretty significant user of the system, and Fishers, Indiana have done some really good work to show what can face the public and how it can be utilized. We are obviously cognizant of the budget situation, and we recognize that there are a lot of competing interests for budget funding, in particular staff capacity. It always comes up every single year, and we know that this will require some operating budget commitment moving forward. We would not have brought this forward if not for the positive news that we received from the Department of Revenue in regards to our levy limit adjustment from the Town of Madison attachment. That was shared with you by Misty during the Committee of the Whole presentation last week. Through Misty's collaboration with the City of Madison, they appealed a Department of Revenue decision that would have lowered the levy limit that we were anticipating from the town attachment, and they were willing to reconsider that appeal in the figurative sense. We didn't file a formal appeal per se, but certainly appealed their ruling informally, and they were willing to grant that higher levy limit adjustment. So through the ARPA and TID investment plan process, we identified funding as one of the uses and priorities that had been established by the council. There was a budget amendment in May that the council passed that authorized use of some of that ARPA and TID money for software applications, this being one of them that we are now presenting to the council. So of the cost, we're looking at approximately $125,000 as the initial cost to get into the software. We would look to use TID funding from the investment plan for that initial cost, and then the annual operating impact is approximately $70,000 a year. That would be in the operating budget. So in effect, obviously, we are committing $70,000 in operating expense to this project. We do anticipate at least some small offset in that cost. As John had mentioned, one of the motivations for us to look at E-Plan will bring in a small amount of revenue that could be utilized to help offset the cost of this software. And it is likely that some of our existing software applications that we are using will be as good, if not better, through the Open Glove platform, and we can stop our use of those other software applications and then repurpose that, reallocate that, those annual maintenance and support fees from those applications towards the Open Gov application as well.
There's two things I want to highlight. One is, I talked about the improved processes. There's a lot of things where we're still really operating as the town of Fitchburg instead of the city of Fitchburg. And so this is going to bring us back at least to the 20th century, maybe the 21st century, but at least get us a lot more advanced in where we need to be. But the other thing that he just kind of briefly mentioned and glossed over was the ability to improve open records requests. I know that's something that people don't understand how much effort that takes Tracy specifically to do. There's a lot of hours, especially if there's anything controversial that we do, which happens once in a while. Some of these requests take a really long time right now, and if we can improve that process, that alone is just a huge savings to our clerk's departments and Tracy specifically. I don't know if Tracy wants to speak anything about that at all, but I know that's something that you, I'm sure, are happy about.
I agree 100%. You summed it up perfectly.
All right. So I have Dave. Go ahead.
Two questions. One, can I assume this would come with alternate languages or at least a minimal of Spanish, that for people getting in? And then the second, I guess, Chad, more of a question for Matthew. We talked about integrating with our existing packages. Do we have an idea how much time that's going to take to get it integrated? I'm not against it. I'm just curious. Okay, thank you.
So obviously the implementation is going to take some time. I mean, we're going to work with the Open Gov team and then obviously our own internal IT staff to begin working on one process and look to get one process implemented. And we're likely going to start with the building permit process. I mean, we typically issue, 750 to 1,000 building permits in any given year. So that's one of those high touch services that the city has there. So that's how we'll look to implement. As far as a total time, Alder Herbst, I'd hate to speculate on that. I just know that there are always things that take longer than we always anticipate, but we would certainly hope to hit the ground running reasonably well and work quickly to implement some things.
Okay. I would just add, where I previously worked, we went through something called ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. It was supposed to be a program that was going to save the company. And we paid $80 million for it, and we incurred annual maintenance costs of $22 million. And so, saying to you, I think this is a great thing. I just don't want to get us killed with annual, maintenance fees on it that it doesn't move us financially any further ahead. Thank you.
I've got Julia.
So my question to Chad, you mentioned in your presentation that it can also, this software can help you to determine where some tasks are in the process, because this is something that we talk sometimes, you don't know where the tasks are, you know what I mean? So that one is going to help you as a city administrator to determine where the projects are, where the status of the project, and who has the project, and the, and the deadline of the project, because this is something like seems like it's lacking right now.
So this software wouldn't necessarily allow us, for me to do project management per se through it. I mean, then we would have to look at some other option for that. But what it will help is if somebody calls into the city and says, hey, what's the status of my building permit? Okay. We'll be able to know exactly where it's at in the process. And I should have added, when we talk about processes, we looked at an initial run through all of the city processes that we're aware of. The list is about 35 processes already that we think could be benefiting by this software across 6 different departments. And we think as our team uses it more and more, they'll identify additional processes that could be implemented through this system. So As an example, like for instance, if we implement a planning and zoning use of this, so if a developer submits Hartung fields, we could utilize this software to identify the steps within the process, where it needs to go, and be able to see exactly where it's at in the process. And the developer, or even the end user, whether it's somebody with a pet license or somebody with a building permit or whatever the case may be, can create sign-on login information so that they can also then log into the system and see where things might be in any given step. And we can actually enter in communications through the software. We could say, you know, we need more detail on X, Y, and Z, and that would automatically just ship right back off to the applicant. So, so it's not quite what we've talked about as far as overall project management, but it's at least a step in the right direction to at least have a better idea of where our internal processors are at, instead of, you know, again, using feet, phones, and email to try to figure out where it's at.
The other thing I want to mention that, you know, working with accounting software, and, you know, I know how much it costs and know how much maintain, but also all this new application, it's incredible how to automate process and procedure and save money. They are more efficient. So, and eventually technology is becoming cheaper and cheaper, you know, and, you know, investing $400,000 and $77,000 a year is, you are split by 12, you know, and allocate to all the department. You know what I mean? So I think it's money well spent to make our internal process and procedure more efficient. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, Tracy, but I was watching the room when we did the demonstration, and just watching, you know, people's faces kind of light up and their heads nod, like, where was this software, you know, 5-10 years ago? You know, Tracy's certainly one of those folks that seemingly has a very positive assessment of the software. And I was just mentioning to Alder Gerhardt, you know, you look at the alcohol licenses, you know, the system can be configured to notify Tracy when all of the alcohol licenses are due. And if the alcohol licensee has an account, they can be notified through the account that their license is up for renewal, and they can ultimately fulfill the application requirements and renewal requirements online as well. So a lot of this stuff we can use this software for to really make a number of processes more efficient. Does it decrease the need for additional staff to be added in the city or eliminate it? Certainly not. But it may at least allow us to be more efficient with the resources that we do have and bring some job satisfaction to folks and a little less frustration. So.
Right. Anyone else? Seeing nothing else?
I will just, if I may, just want to thank Matt and Misty for their work on this project as well. Certainly been beneficial.
All right. Thank you both. All right. We can go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. That is approved. All right. Thank you, everyone. All right. Now we go back to things that people are not here for. We did plan commission, so we got quite a few things on public works left, though. Go ahead, Dave.
Move approval of resolution R 8322, final assessment resolution for Northeast Water Main Extension Improvements.
Second.
Sent by Jim, and the public works approved?
Public Works approved.
Finance approved.
Finance approved.
All right, what's this about, Dave?
The water main along East Clayton, there was a change. The school district bought a residence near the school, and that changed the zoning for that, and hence it changed the assessments, and that's the main difference. You know, this was the water main we recently put in, and again, this had to be kind of readjusted with that. If you want to call it a commercial property, that became after, but that's the reason it's taken a little longer here.
All right, any questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Excuse me. All right, that is approved.
You can pass the next one to Jim.
All right, Jim, go ahead.
Yes, I make a motion to postpone resolution R-144-22 as amended by the RCC to the August 23rd meeting and refer the resolution to the August 15th Public Works meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sent by Shannon. And do you want to speak to that, or do you want me to? Or?
Well, I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but the RCC made an amendment to this resolution, and it's just to give the Board of Public Works a chance to look at it before it's voted on by the council.
Yeah, and RCC is not on the referral, but they did speak to it, and they did suggest a change. And we want to make sure the Public Works can speak to that and hear what they had to say and provide feedback if they agree or disagree. So that's why we're postponing it, so they have a chance to weigh in.
That and the funding source changed.
In chat, and the funding source changed. We're in chat. Okay. All right. So this is Seminole Glen Stormwater Study here. Yep. All right. So question, Gabrielle?
Just, I think the only change was the 2/3 vote. The RCC didn't vote to like change the content. It was just the 2/3. Is that, did we already cover that? I just wanted to clarify. It wasn't like a content change.
So when this originally went to Board of Public Works, it had a different funding source on it.
Oh,
And
got it. Okay.
We had to change the funding source after it went to Board of Public Works and
Got it.
prior to going to RCC. So that's why we're requesting that it go back to Board of Public Works so they get the opportunity to see it with the changed funding source.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yep.
All right. Randy, your question?
Finance approved, by the way.
They did. Okay. All right. Then all in favor of postponing, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right. That is postponed. Next one.
Move approval of Resolution R 15122, renew Green Tier Clearwater Initiative Charter membership.
Second.
Sent by Gabriella. Did Public Works approve?
Public Works approved.
Did RCC approve?
Yes.
All right. Dave, what's this?
So this is our membership in with basically it's looking at best practices to improve stormwater management, mostly from construction. And this was something we got into a few years ago. Bill tells me, there is a significant benefit to the city with doing this, and just renewing our membership to this. We get information on best practices, or we get to contribute to creating best practices, and he feels this is well worth us continuing to be in.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. Next.
Next, to move approval Resolution R 15222, Fitchburg TMDL Win SL AMM update.
Second.
Sent by Gabriella. Did Public Works approve?
Public Works approved.
Did RCC approve?
Yes.
Did Finance approve?
Finance approved.
And this one does need a 2/3 vote, so 6 out of 7 tonight. Dave, what's this?
So I'll try to give you a Reader's Digest, but a number of years ago, the EPA, they looked at the Rock River watershed, determined we had too much pollution or too many suspended, going into it, too many nutrients. And so they gave, it was kind of an ultimatum. They told the cities, and we were included in one of them, and I'm not sure why. I thought we did a pretty good job, but either have to clean it up, and our preferred option is to have the Madison Metropolitan Sewage District take in the stormwater and do phosphorus removal on that, which would have, I can't even tell you what the rates might have been for that. But we found, they worked and they found a better solution. They were able to contract with landowners, farmers and things that were doing best practices to reduce their contribution, and we were able to essentially lease those credits in a sense to meet the EPA requirements. And we've been doing that for a number of years. We were not at the time able to take into account private stormwater maintenance facilities in the city. And since then, this update allows us to take into account those private stormwater facilities that have been installed in the city. And this gives us, the capacity from those, allows us to meet the requirements without having to lease this land or lease these credits anymore. So am I about right, Chad? Does that sound?
Yeah, you are certainly doing well. I won't define TMDL. Reserve that question for others on the council to identify the definition there. But ultimately, yes, Dave, your summary is good. We did do a request for qualifications for engineering firms to help us take a look at our TMDL that's headed to the Rock River watershed. And AECom was selected based upon the requests for proposals that were received or the responses that were received. We are also receiving a grant from the DNR in the amount of $85,000 for this project. And it is also possible that we believe that we've made a number of improvements over the years that we may be able to reduce our costs moving forward as it relates to our TMDL. I was told that we are currently paying about $100,000 a year right now, and that if this study turns out how we hope that it turns out, that annual fee will reduce. So.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions going forward? Jim?
I think the city administrator was referring to me as far as the definition of TMDL, which is the total maximum daily load, which is the amount of pollutants that can be, put into a body of water before affecting water quality.
All right.
I could not have done it justice. So thank you.
All right.
2 thumbs.
Let's go ahead and vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That one approved. Next one.
Move approval of Resolution R 15322, approving a contract for feasibility study and concept design to mitigate flooding north of Dunn's Marsh.
Second.
Sent by Gabriella. Did Public Works approve?
Public Works approved.
Did Finance approve?
Finance approved.
And this one also needs 2/3. Dave?
So stormwater comes down Red Arrow Trail and several roads and hits Crescent Road, and it's a backup there. The storm drains aren't big enough to get it through fast enough, and we get flooding in some of the apartment buildings there. The street certainly can flood if cars are parked there. And this study is to basically, we can't change the amount of stormwater coming, but look at ways to get it under the road or across the road without causing a flood. And so this feasibility study will hopefully identify ways to do that. We have enough capacity in the marsh. We just have to get it across the road.
All right. Any questions? All right. Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right. That is approved. Next one.
Next, move approval of Resolution R 15522, resolution approving Fourth Amendment to the agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Terra Vesa.
Second.
Sent by Gabriella. Did Public Works approve?
Public Works approved.
All right. What's this?
I think it's just a standard as the development continues to move forward, change or amendment to allow the development of the next piece of the project, essentially.
All right.
I'll add to that some of this stems from sidewalk installation, and the city had granted 48 months to take care of some sidewalk installation. Based upon areas that have not been developed, it doesn't necessarily make sense for the sidewalks to be installed because they could simply be damaged when development happens on those. So there was an additional area added into this portion of the agreement that exempts another area for 48 months of the sidewalk installation.
Thank you, Chad.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right. That is approved. We did 7 and 8, so that's all of your items. But you have some other stuff?
Public Works, just a couple of things real quick. Our sidewalk bid for removal and replacement will be coming out. We're going out for bid, and hearings should be in September. We're excited to have Kevin, our new transportation engineer, with us. We hired another utility maintenance worker. Well number 4 is back online, and September, expect to hear something from Bill about different maintenance practices or changes in our maintenance for our well system. Thank you.
All right. Park Commission, we did the resolution. Is there anything you want to do for report?
I wasn't in the meeting. I was in a conference, so I don't have anything to report.
All right. Then we can go on to Library Board. Jay, we can't hear you yet. Must have stepped away maybe for a second. We can keep moving then. Commission on Aging Well?
Our meeting is Thursday, so I'll have an update at the next council meeting.
All right, what about RCC?
Just a couple of save the dates. August 20th from 12:30 to 2. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a little bit longer than that, but it's basically a Dane County landfill event. You can go visit. It's going to be fun, more fun than that sounds. They got the trash lab there, do fun things with kids. They're actually very cool. If you've never done a landfill tour, it's actually very fascinating. So August 20th, that's happening. And then we are probably going to host a Sustain Dane event at the Hop House. They've been going around talking about different sustainability issues, probably focused on solar energy. That's looking to be probably Wednesday, September 14th. And then our fall recycling day event has been scheduled. It's going to be Saturday, October 15th. So that's electronics and paper shredding. Thanks.
All right. What about TTC?
We meet this Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
All right. CETA.
CETA, let's see, the Madison Development Corporation gave an overview on the venture debt program. Madison Development Corporation for Dane Workforce Housing Fund. There was an overview as well. Of course, Mike Z gave his economic development overview or summary of various projects throughout the city. And then he also discussed the 2023 CETA and economic budget submittals. And one other item, I was appointed to the Healthy Neighborhoods Initiative Committee. So that's all I have to report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. What about Ag and Rural Affairs?
Nothing to report. We haven't met.
All right, EMS?
We don't meet until next Thursday.
All right, and Joe's not here for Bike. Tree Advisory?
Nothing to report.
All right, Landmarks?
And nothing to report.
All right, Housing Advisory? That is Joe, so that's not... Healthy Neighborhoods? Jay, are you there? Doesn't sound like it. I don't think they've met. All right, Personnel?
We actually met just a little bit before the council meeting, specifically to authorize some flexibility in the hiring of positions that are very clearly our pay scale is very, very far under market rates. We're going to give some flexibility to the administrator, the finance director, and the HR director in collaboration to make sure that we can make an offer that will actually get a candidate to take the job. And in the meantime, we are also doing a market poll for all of our positions. That presentation is going to be coming before Personnel Committee, probably in late September, early October. But in the meantime, we want them to have that flexibility and going forward, also have the ability to negotiate something that's slightly higher. We did talk about wanting to check on that. So anytime that does happen for a new hire, they're going to have to report that to the Personnel Committee so that there's an awareness from part of the council on that. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's all.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Jim, go ahead.
How far away are we from market rates as comparison with salary?
Depends on the position.
For the for the IT director specifically, because we're recruiting for that right now, we are way off. So it's basically like we can't hire on the scale. We'd never be able to hire somebody, even at the highest level.
Not anyone we want to hire anyway.
Yeah. Not anyone qualified. No one qualified.
IT's a little important. I don't know. You're going to end up with me. I know nothing. I just work in the tech department. All right. Public safety?
We approved 3 new operators licenses. There's a large number of birthday parties, first communion parties, and the other thing to note, I think you saw on the agenda, we approved a wine license for the wedding venue down on Adams Road. So that's all.
All right. Anything else on finance? We did the resolutions.
No, nothing else.
All right. We did all the direct referrals under new business. Nothing under unfinished business. Mayor's report, just a couple things. Like Chad mentioned, we're starting to do budget meetings next week, Tuesday, meeting with department heads on that and trying to get an idea of what we have. And obviously there's a lot of needs in the city and trying to figure out where exactly to have focus on those. And then there's also just a lot of ribbon cuttings, groundbreakings, things like that coming up. We've got Quarry Hill, Encompass, Dedicated Family Care, the Gress Kelly team, Promega's renaming their observatory. So a lot of stuff in the next couple of weeks coming up. And it just speaks to all the great growth that we have here. Last year's growth, we had about $170 million in new construction, which is our second highest year ever, behind a couple of years ago where ProMag had a couple of projects, big projects come forward for $400 million. That's an outlier, even though I told Mike Z he should get that every year. That's not realistic. But $170 million is our second highest year ever. So we're very fortunate to have that growth, but that still means we still have a lot of needs, unfortunately, that we can't meet. So that is all I have for all the reports. It is starting with District 3, and Shannon just stepped out. Jay, if you're there, do you have a report?
Yeah, just one thing quickly. Tomorrow will be the last library in the park over at Southdale Park. So if you haven't had a chance to make it to any of those, that would be the time to stop by.
All right, thank you. Jim?
Nothing to report.
All right, Randy?
Just one item. Chad mentioned it earlier. Gave thanks to Tracy and team. I, too, want to give a big shout out. My husband and I, we voted in person today, and I don't know, we were in and out of there in no time. I mean, they just have a very efficient operation and personable on top of that. So big shout out to Tracy and everybody involved. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dave?
I wanted to thank the police department for the police night out in McKee Farms Park. Officer Logan Brown for organizing that. It was a great event, our district, if you get a chance, stop at Jamestown Eagle Park and see the gardens. I would point out one of the gardeners, she's a native of Cameroon, and she's got some sort of African corn in there. It's about 10 feet high. I'm thinking there might be keeps growing, there's going to be a giant up there, and there might be a pot of gold or golden goose. I'm not sure, but it's fun to see. We've had some bad things in our neighborhood, though. On Monday night, one of my son's girlfriend, her car had the window broken and backpack stolen. There were about 10 cars, eight that were reported that were broken into, but basically anyone that had a car left open in the neighborhood, it was rifled through. And so it's very, very disappointing to see that happened. We also had, there was a car chase, that's stolen car in Madison. Our Fitchburg Police Department did a great job. They spiked the wheels, and ultimately they stopped the car over on Red Arrow, and I think you probably all know there was a chase. But we've had some challenges with crime. You all have a handout that I gave you, and that is the sign that was put in the King James Way Pocket Park. Now, the reason I wish I had been consulted before that was put in. It's hard to keep that, the parks and I work very hard, whether it's cleaning it every day, picking up glass. The children are unsupervised. The sign was put up for 3 days before it was broken. 3 days. And so if we need that sign was made out of some sort of synthetic. We don't need anything that fancy, metal sign or something. We can't spend money on having things like that. And also, thank you, Chad and Jack Pearson. We have a lot of garbage that is blighting our neighborhood, and the landlords, residents are responsible. They're helping us, but you can't build a neighborhood if you have garbage. It's just self-defeating. You can't move ahead. So I need their help in getting that cleaned up. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Julia.
So I want to mention what Dave already mentioned in McKee Farm Park today. There was the community night out organized by the police. So I want to thank Officer Logan. He organized the event with the department, with the police department. I have been attending those events for the last 8-9 years, and this one was the best. I think there was a lot of people, a lot of neighbors, a lot of family with kids. So I want to thank. I think it was a great family night tonight. So also the fire department was there, public works, some other staff from the city, and a lot of community partners. So it was great.
Great. Okay, Rob.
No report.
All right, that is all. Next council meeting is in 2 weeks, and the committee of the whole is in 2 weeks in 1 day. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Gabriella, seconded by Randy. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 And opposed, say nay. All right, we are adjourned.